Hey, welcome to Real Talk, episode 46. I'm Todd, this is AJ.
Yo!
And you already know we're back.
Kind of.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
Hey, we're back. So, really excited to be back. As you guys know, 46 did not come out last week.
Yeah.
We'd like to give you a reason that's good, but the only reason we can give you is that technology can be frustrating.
Yes, it can be.
So we're working to be better and better.
That's right.
But you'll have a bonus clip at some point because we did film last week.
Yeah, hopefully, essentially what happened was the audio was doing a weird thing. I don't know if any of you guys actually saw it, but we actually posted it, and then it was doing this weird thing where it was literally doubling the audio through your phones if you listen to it. It was weird. Still haven't gotten it figured out yet, but hopefully we can get it fixed and you guys can get something out of it. So here we are.
So what we've decided to do is come at you again this week with episode 46. And it's actually this week. This time.
Yep, it is this week.
Clint hates when I ruin this illusion. But anyway, we are in he's intern Clint is just shaking his head in disgust right now. But in all seriousness, it is good to be back. You know, we've said this before, but for me, when we don't do our filming and having these discussions, it really affects my week, legitimately.
Yeah.
And I look back on my week and I'm like, man, I feel like I wasn't as engaged, even in my faith sometimes. So this has been a huge blessing to me, and not having it really does affect my week. So I'm excited to be back.
Yes, and we do apologize again because I know, it's one of those things where we've had you guys, viewing for a long time, and then when we goes and we didn't have anything put out, So I personally apologize because it's my responsibility. So please stick around because this one it's gonna be better. So thank you guys so much for your loyalty. Appreciate you.
Yep. So, think they hear that?
Yep.
So if you hear that loud, well, they definitely heard Clint go, yep. Man, what a great start to the show. So if you heard that loud banging sound, there it is. We are doing more remodeling in our kitchen.
That's right.
So we serve, people don't realize this about our church, but every week on Sundays, we have what we call community time. We have a free meal. And we serve average over 70 people a week we feed.
It's crazy,
completely
man.
free. And yes, we want people to eat, but the main reason for it is to give a reason to have community.
That's right.
So we do that every week. We've committed a lot of resources to that because we found it's pretty fruitful. Even if you're not having those conversations, you're not always going to have a deep conversation in an hour before. But what it does is it creates that kind of family atmosphere and the atmosphere of getting used to seeing people.
Yes, you get around people. It's good for you.
So because of that, though, that gets a lot of use, and we've had to expand and open it up a little bit. So what you're hearing is actually the demolition of a wall as we expand. So that's just the life here at the Remnant. There's just a lot of things happening.
Yeah, it's true. It's controlled chaos.
Yep, that's the illusion we want to keep. So if you hear weird sounds, just know that that's not your audio. It's not the phone. It's picking up. Some renovations going on.
Yep.
So anyway, you're going to see a couple links up above. One is www.theremnant.life/real-talk. We are at, you know what I can tell you right now. I want to see anyway, I should explain what that is. If you click that link, it's going to open up a form fillable box. You type in a question or a topic that maybe you're uncomfortable asking someone in your church or in your life. Maybe it's intimate. Maybe it's personal. Maybe it just seems awkward or uncomfortable. One of those non-church-like questions.
Yep.
You can shoot it in, and it's completely anonymous, and we'll discuss it, and we'll chop it up and maybe give you some insight into that. We don't promise to always have the answers, but we do promise to take it seriously and give you our thoughts as we invite you in as friends, and we're just having a discussion. However, we've gone through every question, which is surreal.
Jeez,
just so you guys know, and we need more. So when you guys have a question or a topic or a thought that comes to mind, and I know you do because a lot of people ask them to me in person, go ahead and shoot them on here. We're at 900, and we've had 950 questions.
Wow.
So who wants to be... let's get to 1,000. Let's answer 1,000 questions. Because remember, it's not just for you guys. It benefits the people listening too.
That's right.
So the other link you're going to see is a link to join us in our ministry financially. Guys, listen, as I mentioned, this ministry, Real Talk, has really been fruitful. has really helped a lot of people, encouraged people. I mean, we know that we've gotten
Yes.
that from people in person and also in messages. So you already partnered with us by watching the video, sharing and liking and all those things. But this is solely supported by the Remnant Church here in our town, our church. And we're going to keep doing that. But, we want to make this better and better for you guys. And part of the way to do that is, it takes money. And, for our sets and our lights, we've already actually got a new light. You might see a difference. We've gotten some new light stuff.
Yeah.
But we do take this serious. So if you want to join us, and especially if you don't attend this church, but you're like, man, I really love seeing these videos. I love what you guys are doing. Would you consider donating? Click that link. You can do it right from your phone. Go down to Real Talk on the drop-down box. Anything you give is tax deductible. Mm-hmm. And we just appreciate that. So, that being said, I guess that's the business.
That's the business.
So we like to start these off just kind of catching up on our days and our lives. I can already tell I got stuff in my throat again.
Oh, man.
It's been a rough month for me.
I kind of feel myself, too, actually. When
I have to blow my nose again. I hate doing that. So I wonder how people do that in the news. And stuff like that.
Question.
Like, you never see them blow their nose on camera.
They have actual segments where they go away from camera.
And they do it all then.
I bet you. Like...
Yeah, because their segments aren't real long.
Because they'll be like, hey, what's your name? Go, here's the weather guy. And he'll go, do the forecast. And as soon as it's done,
blowing
they're like, doing everything.
Getting a drink, all that.
Yep.
Okay, well, we like to catch up, let you guys know how things are going in our lives. So, how's your last couple weeks been?
They've been interesting. I know the previous episode that we recorded that the audio got weird on. I believe, if I remember correctly, we were talking about the new year because it was supposed to be released, right around the new year. And we're still pretty fresh into the new year, but
yes.
During that episode, we talked about, kind of like reflection, right? What this past year, what 2019 was, and hindsight is so 2020 because when I look back, when I think about when I was just living through 2019, I couldn't really see a whole lot in those moments. But when I actually look back and go, okay, what was it like at the beginning of that year? Man, so much has happened, so much growth, and so much, so much good. And I can forget that so easily because in the moments of, when you're just going through life, living in the moment, it's hard to take a step back sometimes and reflect and see how much has happened. And man, what a year it was. A crazy year, not only for me, but for our church, just everything, and honestly, because I know we can always be we can be our biggest critics, to ourselves. So I know even as a church or as us, honestly, we can probably look back and, we can see struggles here and there in areas, or even me personally. But then, man, I know that when we got this building, like we wanted to take off and hit the ground running. And honestly, man, I think we did it. I take a look and I go, wow, what we did was pretty special in my opinion. Getting the media ministry off its, getting it on its feet, and trying to get that running, with Real Talk, or, doing all these renovations to our building, it's crazy, man. We've kind of, in my opinion, I feel like we've kind of built a culture that is a go-getter kind of culture. Like, you want to do something, we're going to make it happen. We did a show here for the region. We did a Halloween event, trunk or treat, we did all these things, and what a cool thing that all happened in the first year. And, I don't, in the moment, I tend not to think about it because, again, I think it's culture, and a lot of us, which is cool in a way because we're like, man, all this craziness has happened. We're so used to it. They're like, we're not doing enough. But really, man, we've done so many cool things. And so it's just cool because I remember when we were recording the last one, it was a little more somber because I was like, man, I realized that there's a lot of weight I'm carrying that I don't need to. Well, since then, I've been able to kind of shed that off. And, I'm just trying to get my life more organized. And, trying to make 2020 a year where, I can put in that effort that I did last year, but it can be better in the sense of cleaner. It can be a little more organized and all this and that. So, last couple of weeks have been real. It started up, kind of low, but it's really kind of come back up. And now, I'm really, just really excited for the new year. I'm excited for our media. I'm excited for our church. Like you said, here in the, knocking a wall down right now for a kitchen renovation, so crazy, man. Just stuff constantly happening. It's a crazy place to be at, but it's crazy in the best way. So I'm just so blessed, man. And I've said it so many times on the show throughout the past year, but it's so true. It's so easy to forget, what's around you and how special it is. And it's just every time I'm like you said earlier, you're blessed from Real Talk because you get to talk, and all this stuff. And I'm blessed from Real Talk because I get to, this is almost one of those moments where I get to take a step back and see all that. And it makes me go, wow, how special is this? So
yeah. It's really good, man. I actually have, so in my personal relationships, it's kind of convicting what you said, but encouraging in a way. I'm nothing is ever, okay, I'm trying to think of how to say this. When it comes to you guys, I'm so sorry. People in my life, man, I need a segment. People in my life, I can see like growth, right?
Yeah.
I tell you that often. We've talked, you'll get hard on yourself. I'm like, man, look at where you've come.
Yeah.
Instead of
Absolutely.
just, but when it comes to myself, if I'm honest, I don't see, I don't ever probably stop to enjoy what I've accomplished because I'm always thinking of what I didn't or what I need to do next.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes I do that with our church. So
Yeah.
I'm always, I don't think it's all bad, but you know me, I'm a dreamer. Yes. I'm looking to the next bend. I have this vision, in my head of what we want to do. And so sometimes for me, everything's happening so slowly. And so it was really good. I guess there was this surreal moment when you said that of me going, you know what? I think you're right. It's pretty amazing what we've accomplished.
Absolutely, man.
And
absolutely.
Only because what a beautiful thing to see a group of people come together and what they can make happen when they're united.
Yes.
Which always leads me big picture. What could happen if the church with a capital C stopped being so divisive and wanted to come together?
Mm-hmm.
What could we accomplish in this world? We could change it. However, so that's cool to hear you say that. And I tend to put that on. So the church, and I was even talking to someone, my personal relationships, even girlfriends and things I've had. Sometimes it's been tough because, or any serious relationship I've had, because that mindset is well, Todd, they view it as, or people have viewed it as like, nothing's ever good enough. And it kind of makes me sad because that's not what I feel, but I probably do put the people closest to me. I just assume they have the same standard on themselves and I put that on them. That's not fair because that's not even a healthy standard to have. What I mean by that is the idea that, well, you can't enjoy what you've done because there's still more to be done.
Right.
And I know that's something that I felt kind of convicted about with you as I've kind of tried to pour into you and we've walked this out and teach you some of the stuff I've learned. Is like I think sometimes that leads to your anxiety because I do live my life that way, and it's not healthy. And I remember you saying a guy at our church told you like Todd's just a different guy, like a weird guy. that I do that,
Yeah.
and it's not healthy for me either. You know this. A lot of the people on here, we kind of joke about it. I don't sleep very well or very much.
It's true.
And you could tell. Look at this, but and part of that's because I'm like that. I don't go to bed at night and go, man, look at what I did. I go to bed at night and go, look what I didn't get done, or look what I need to do tomorrow. And so there's it's a double-edged sword, or there's positive and negatives to it. I can get stuff accomplished, and I truly believe anything's possible. But all that to say, but it can also be negative because there's always. It can feel like nothing's ever good enough, even though in my heart that isn't what I'm thinking. I'm not going, everything we've done is garbage. It's more of like, awesome. Well, now on to the next thing. But I think that does stop me from appreciating where we've come.
Sure.
So that's cool to hear you say that.
I think of it as like a dreamer's curse, like
the what?
Dreamer's curse, because you want to make all these amazing things happen, and then when they actually do happen, you're like, yes, I did that, but then you're like you said, just on the next one.
Yeah.
And like you actually don't take a moment to go, I did that, or I was a part of that, or I helped with that, So.
But I did. You know what's funny though, man? That's what I mean by like putting mainly on myself, because I don't look at it that way with other people. Because I actually think it's really sad when I see other people live in that. But for some reason, for myself, I'm like, that's just life. Like, this is how it is. But if you were like, man, I know I didn't do good enough, I'm like, yeah, you did, dude. That was awesome.
Yep.
But for me, so that's kind of funny, and it's just good to see. Now, do I want to see us move into the community even more? I think we have reached out to the community through this social media.
Sure.
And impacted people. We've talked to a ton of people, not only in different states and stuff, which is awesome, but even in our own town and community.
Yes.
People that don't go to our church, people that live in the area who just stumble across us and say, man, this is encouraging. You know, I love what you guys do.
Mhm.
So we are doing it, but I want to see us do that even more and leave, Jesus's footprints all over this town and all this
Yes.
community. So I'm excited to see how we can do that in the coming year.
That's good. Man.
And one of the reasons it's not wrong to want growth, because we always say this, we want the platform to be bigger, not for our glory, but to reach more people.
That's right.
Because humans, that's just how it is. They flock where people flock, and that's where you hope that's when you can tell them, right? The truth. We talk about that a lot.
That's
we want to
right.
make, if church is a cake, we want to make the frosting look good enough that they take a bite so they can get the cake, which is the truth, the real stuff
That's
that matters. Right. So, anyway.
That's good. But anyways, I don't know if that really counts as you going into your past.
No, I was really talking about yours, but yeah.
Okay. Well, how's your last couple of weeks?
And you made it seem like, once again, to the world that I talk too much.
No, it's not what I was
Hey, I don't know, man,
do.
if that counts as yours, but so thanks again, everyone. At least he kind of asked. He just let me know, Todd, you've already talked. I'll try to make it brief for you folks. I would say two things come to mind. One, I'm going to get really real with one of them. Well, both of them. But one I think is like, I'm almost anxious to share it, so I know I should. Because if I want people to know the benefit of being real, I need to be willing to do that. So yesterday, this isn't that. First things first. So yesterday, I had this surreal thought, and it almost made me panic. So yesterday, Mondays are my day off. So I got up pretty early again. I ran around. I did some fun stuff. And this is so weird, dude. I woke up, and I'm not exaggerating. The end of the night came, like 11 o'clock. And I was putting my shoes on to come back. And I all of a sudden had this surreal feeling of, I woke up, and now it's the end of the day. And I didn't enjoy. It was like I was in my head all day. I enjoyed it, but I was in my head all day. And did I live that day to the fullest? Did I actually enjoy it, or did I? And how many times do I wake up, blink, and it's time to go to bed again, and I just went through the motions? Like, I think it's because I keep myself so busy that day when I wasn't as busy as I normally am, it made me realize how little I settle for sometimes in life. Meaning, I don't know, man. It scared me that I went through a whole day, and it just...
Dude, I feel that, though.
And I think it's because I was in my head. So even in the moments when I was having fun, I wasn't enjoying it because of what I just said. I was thinking about what needed to be done.
Yep.
Or beating myself up.
You were actually in the moment.
No, not the whole day. That's the truth. And that's crazy to me that I did that. I mean, it was legit. I could tell her I was sitting on the edge of a couch. It was dark. Putting my shoes on. And I had this moment of, boom. Whoa. Like, I don't like this. I don't like that.
Man.
And that makes me sad because... I don't know, man. I don't know. It was just, I don't even know, so I'm kind of processing it. But I certainly don't think I'm not very good at resting. And it's almost like if I don't keep myself completely busy all the time, I don't know how to exist, which is not good.
Yeah.
Probably makes no sense.
No, dude, so, I'm with you all the way.
That's one thing.
Okay.
The other thing is kind of a confession. So I'm not married. A lot of people know that. Or if they're not, they ask that all the time. Why aren't you married? Blah, blah. Which could be a good thing or a bad thing. I like to think it's good. And they're like, oh, you seem nice. So we've talked about this briefly before. It's always surreal to me how being a grown man, I can still have things that affect the way I live my life daily that I'm not consciously aware of. So we call them wounds, or we call them patterns, or I won't go into this too in depth, but I love my family. I'm so blessed. That's another thing I kind of realized this week. But my family has been such a blessing to me. But like any family, there was ugliness, and there was, marriage looked different.
Yeah.
And I've been really hurt in relationships. I'm not making excuses, but all that to say, I think I've lived out of, I know this, I've said it, but this sort of fear of it.
Yeah. Because
I know what it's supposed to be biblically. Like I'm so, this, I'm passionate about marriage. I really am. People don't realize I'm very passionate about it. I think it's the most beautiful thing. I think God uses it to show the world what his relationship with his church looks like, what it when it's good, right? But the realization that I'm still subconsciously at times, like I've lived out of fear of that, is weird to me. A lot of people don't know I was engaged in 2009, a long time ago now. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And I called the engagement off, and was nothing wrong with the relationship beyond me. Beyond I had, and thank God that God didn't let me, because I think I didn't want to admit those things. So why am I bringing this up? As I start to look to my future, and I start to look, because I want to be married, and I want those things to understand and have to face it. Because I think people are like, oh, you've got commitment issues. And I'm like, no, I don't. That's insulting to me for some reason. Somehow it hits this part of me. But if I'm honest, I'm there. I guess in the strict definition of the term, I must. Because there are brief moments when I'm conscious of this fear. Does that make sense? Or conscious of this. What is the fear of? I don't know. It's a feeling of being trapped. I hope they're okay with this. A lot of the examples I've seen of marriage when I was a kid, and I hate that. I hate talking about things that happened as a kid because it feels so weak. Mm-hmm. And I'm not giving an excuse on it. Using an excuse, but I have to be real that I know that has to be what's caused it to a degree, right? Like I have to.
Yeah.
But I saw people who did the right thing, like, and they were more business partners, and there was no joy in it, and all it ever seemed to be was something that you were trapped in. Yeah. Now I know that isn't the truth, and I know that it's beautiful, and I've seen it in our church, beautiful examples of it, but I don't think I realized how deep, let's say 18 years of seeing that affects you. And that, and I wasn't saved until I was 16, 17. So, it's just odd. Do I think it's as strong as it was then? No, and then I think that's what's bringing this up is I want to be married, and I'm excited about that. And I've been thinking, whoever's doing that clicking sound back there should probably quit. But one of the things that was pretty loud. I think that it's I think this kind of interesting realization that the Holy Spirit gave me of Todd, you've been living out of this fear and you don't want to face it because that hits your pride. It hits your pride that you can know truth and preach it and love it and it's all real, but you don't want to admit that there are things in your life that I'm still healing, and some of it can only be healed when you experience it. Does that make sense?
No, I'm right with you, man.
And it's different for a lot of us, right?
Yeah, and I think it's so good, man, because especially I like the fact that you mentioned childhoods because I know even for me, like my parents got divorced when I was 9, and like I remember because I've told you and I've told a lot of people like 9-year-old AJ like didn't even know what to do with that. He just kind of accepted that reality and just kept moving, So even now, at almost 25 years old, like there's things that will hit my brain sometimes. I'm like, what? I'm like, what is this feeling I'm feeling right now?
Why am I feeling
it's like a 9-year-old feeling,
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, this is weird. And I think, like you said, like I think there's a part of us that try to push that down or push it away because, like you said, we think like, well, that's we're older now. We
should be over that.
Exactly.
That can't be affecting me.
Sure. Absolutely, man. So I think it's really cool that you brought that up because I think you're speaking for tons of people who don't want to grasp the reality of your childhood shapes a lot of your mind. It really does. Even going into adulthood, it's just what it does. Like, that's what you're exposed to. It's your home life. Like, it's just what it is. And now I don't think, that you have to stay in that.
No.
No. But I think the moment you accept that, like what you said, like accept that it, like, hey, like there's things in me that I still feel because of that. I think that's when, like you said, that's when that healing is going to happen because it's just that acknowledgement that it's still there. In a way, I feel like that's kind of laying it out to God. Going, hey, all right, I'm done. I feel this still. Now I want it to heal. And I think that's when it starts to happen. So I think that's so cool, man.
It's sort of just, thanks. I think it sort of just rose up real quickly. Again, it's not as strong. I'm not where I was at. And like I said, I want to be, people are like, oh, I enjoy that. And it's funny when you deal in the church. people make marriage such a huge thing, and it is a big deal. But like, you know this, how many times have I been asked, why am I not married? Blah blah blah.
Yeah, it's been
Sometimes
a
I
lot.
want to be like, listen, dude, like that's not a prerequisite to being a church leader. You know, Paul wasn't married, and but I know why they say it. You know, it is weird and it looks different, and
Sure.
and
But is it different? Like,
yeah, I think it's different because we've talked about this. Listen, if you're going to date, what's the purpose of dating? And you know, there are pastors that aren't married that probably aren't dating or don't you know look to date or anything like that.
Gotcha.
Date, that could be a whole different segment. What is dating? You know,
Right.
I don't know. We've talked about that. I think even in the church, that's kind of weird because it really only has one purpose. So.
right.
But yeah, it was just kind of a weird little moment where God's like, "Yep, that's still there," but it was cool because I think that's growth.
Yeah.
Recognizing that feeling for a second, going, well, that's an odd feeling to feel right now.
Sure.
Like you said, with why do I feel 9 years old right now? You know, or whatever. So, pretty cool moment, and man, looking back on my life and how God is just continually growing us and doesn't leave us there. And we've said this before. How awesome is it that He loves us so much that He doesn't try to fix it all at once? Can you imagine that? I'm going to completely fix everything inside of you at one time. Our brains would probably blow up.
You're probably right. Literally couldn't handle it. But that's so good, man. Thank you for sharing that because I know, like you said, like it's not always easy. So I appreciate your transparency, you know, and I'm sure they do as well. So appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think. Do we have any questions or topics this week, or do we?
Yeah, I got a couple. I don't know where are we at here. Just use your fingers. What's our number here? He doesn't know how to use. He goes. Yeah, we got a little time.
Yeah.
I got a couple of them.
Okay.
Let's see. One is I'll answer that one later.
Dude, I'll never forget, just a little throwback here. I think the first time we ever had, I think our very first unserious question we ever answered was how we did our hair so well. And that was such a good one. And the reason why I thought of that is because, I don't know if you guys can notice, but I used different hair product today.
This is such a ridiculous thing you're talking about right now.
It just made me think of it. So, I don't know why. It was just
Ooh, I love your new hair, AJ. You're going to get all those comments below. This is actually a pretty good question, considering I know a lot of people are afraid right now because of what's happening in world relations, right, with Iran here in the U.S. And, you know, people are throwing, I think it's, our generation is so dramatic, dude. Yeah. Immediately there's one thing, World War III. Like, everybody needs to calm down, first of all.
And then there's memes about it.
Yeah, it's just, even that, the idea of making a meme about something that serious.
Yeah, it's wild, dude.
Our generation, dude, I'm part of this. So I just sometimes I'm disgusted, but I'm going to be real. Like, I don't want to be drafted and all these things. Okay, like, I get it. No one wants to be. First of all, even that being brought up, whole different topic. I got to get off it because I'm going to get frustrated. Listen, freedom isn't free, guys. I'm sorry. Like, you don't get to just, hey, other countries, be nice to us. And they listen all the time. I wish that were the case, but not that I'm agreeing or disagreeing with any political statement or what's been happening lately, just in general. The question is, here's a thought. And this person said, a thought I had this week. Being a Christian in a war, having to kill non-Christians, knowing they're not saved.
Ooh.
That's pretty interesting.
That is interesting. Holy cow. I don't even know where to start with this. Like, first off, there's a difference because I've actually like talked to people about war before. I've had people ask me like how do you justify, you know, people going to war and killing people? Because so I guess I'll start with there's a difference between killing and murdering people. As far as going into a war and having to kill somebody that you know is not a believer, man, that is, I guess it would be hard for me, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I think a lot of that comes down to faith. I don't think any believer would enjoy that. You know, Scripture talks about times of war and times of peace. It talks about following the laws of the land. It talks about, our leadership in government and following that. And also, the idea that there are times, there's a little known verse where at one time Jesus told him not to take a sword, another time he told him to take a sword. That's interesting. Told his disciples. And there's a lot of evil in this world. And
truth.
Sometimes we have to stand up against that. And I understand not everything is as people think isn't as black and white. And but in general, the idea of war for me, if it were me, is I just have to trust God, and faith. And I certainly wouldn't enjoy it. The idea of killing anyone is not enjoyable to me
either. Not at
but
all.
I think the way that I would be able to function, the only way is to know that God is still good and God is still just.
That's right.
And either they've had their chance to respond, or, and if not, that they're going to, be judged on. Scripture says that none of us are with excuse. Like, right, the gospel, like we see it in nature. We see the gospel showing itself. So I don't know, man. I think for me, just knowing that God is sovereign and trusting that.
Yes.
And, he has a plan. Mm-hmm. To me, if anything, it brings me back more to what about non-times of war? What are we doing so that there aren't people that haven't had a chance to respond to the gospel?
Yeah, that's good too.
And the truth is, even people that have heard it, there are going to be people that reject it. There is evil in this world.
Yes.
I'm not saying, I feel like this is such a big topic for our generation, but for me, short answer is I just have to trust God.
Yep. That's exactly how I feel. I think, you're going in to do your duty, and I kind of think back to the wars that they even that are talked about in the Bible. Those guys are going in, and they're having to go into war and kill and all these things, and I'm sure a lot of them probably had the same thoughts here and there. It's just like you said, at the end of the day, God is God, we are not, and He's sovereign. You have to trust that. It's all about trust, man. Faith goes so much. I feel like it's always rooted back into trust. How much do you trust it? How much is if it's real, okay. So great topic.
Yeah, should get people thinking.
Absolutely, got me thinking.
I love the heart of the person who asks this question because it grieves for them. Mm-hmm. This same person was talking to about the bombing, or the drone that hit the general over there. We've all heard about this probably, and supposedly this person did a lot of evil thing, whatever. Mm-hmm. But the first thing out of this person's mouth was, man, it's sad because he probably wasn't saved. And that's an eternal mindset, to be thinking that it should never be joyous, right? It's joyous when evil ends, but or evil things in general. But man, a human life, an eternity so long, and to know that these people in general, that there are people out there that don't know.
Yep.
So
that's good, man.
Okay. I will see what else we have. We do have a question that is more of a fun one, apparently. Is the Remnant going to have a weight room?
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That comes from a lot of the people at our church. We're very active.
Yes, we are.
And I don't know, man. We have a lot of goals for this spring. We want to have our sports field done and run a lot of adult and children's sports ministries. Stuff that isn't being offered in the community, and just a different alternative, maybe cheaper than some of the others. And
sure.
As a ministry, we want to have a full-length football field, soccer field in the back of our property. And we've considered the idea of having a weight room too, to reach out to people. A gym, I like the idea of that. I know a lot of our members do, just because, I don't know, it's nice to have another place to go. And
sure.
So I think it's probably a somewhat silly question someone from our church is probably asking. Mm-hmm. Who knows? We'll see. What I would say to you guys, if you're watching, is why don't you pull your money in and just make it happen?
Absolutely. Invest in what you want.
Yeah, eat, yeah.
You say eat?
No, I was going to say eat it, and I decided
yeah, eat.
All right. All right. Let me see if we got any others here. We can do one oldie. Just random number here.
11.
Just don't. Yeah, we're doing it. Intern.
I love
You
this
say 11?
so much.
We
Yeah,
do
I was
that.
just
Yeah,
kidding.
we've done that one. We should probably. You know, I was thinking we should probably do a video of just that question.
It'd be
Have I ever told you that? Like we do one with just that question because I want to make sure whoever asks that sees our response. That's why I keep doing it. I'm like, if they come in one more time, I want to look at him or her. I know who you are. And answer. I'm just kidding. I have no idea.
Oh, it's so good.
Certainly sounds like someone in ministry by the way that they. If it is a pastor that asked that question, shame on you, silly goose.
Silly goose.
We're all on the same team.
That's right.
No, you're not, because you don't dunk people 12 times before you baptize them. Okay. This is why I don't have friends.
I'm just kidding. I love you, man.
Anyway, what number you got?
Let's go with. Let's see. What?
1 to 950.
950. Okay. Let's go with 472.
Clint just mouthed 22. I just want to see what it is.
Okay.
That's a good one. It has to do. We've answered it, but I'll come back to it. What'd you say? 2 what?
473.
You always pick the ones that I'm far away from.
I was actually going to ask. I
473.
was actually about to ask. I was like, what is your number range right now when you're scrolling? And then,
Well, this is an odd one.
yeah.
I don't know if we ever answered this.
Okay.
I'll answer it. Are you open to people giving you gifts / private offerings and then parentheses separate from their tithe as a pastor? If so, how could someone get it to you? So I'll just apply it to us.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I guess we take gifts. I don't know
Sure.
how you would
You know, if I'm walking
mail
by,
them to us.
if I'm walking by and you go, you know what, you're great, and you hand me a $50 bill, I ain't gonna be mad.
Yeah, or an energy drink.
Yeah,
whatever.
or yeah, seriously,
Or a handshake and a hug for him.
That's right. I love hugs.
Yep.
But when it comes to, I don't even know, like,
It was a real question. People are going to think we set this up. Send your gifts. No, we didn't. But yeah,
so
you
funny.
could, you can find our address online. You can message in one of our production guys. I don't know, something like that.
Sure.
It's really sweet that someone would even think that.
Yeah, thank you guys. That's awesome.
We need another number because that one was not really a question.
Yeah, it wasn't.
He's really pushing for 22, man. I know we've answered this before.
Okay.
It says, let marriage change you. This is in quotations. For it is its design. May this journey transform you to be more like Christ. A pastor posted this to someone's page congratulating them on their marriage. Should it really change me when I get married? Will I have to stop being the real me someday?
Interesting.
Odd, considering we talked about marriage earlier a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I don't think the way this person perceived that message, I think, was wrong.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Because I don't think marriage should change who you are. You know, I think when you come together in marriage, it's two people. I think they're taking the analogy of becoming like one flesh and maybe like making it a little literal in a sense of like, part of me is dying.
Yeah, I think, and like they said, remember this pastor's point was, may it transform you into being more like Jesus, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's the thing. You should, if there's parts of you that have to be eroded away or broken off to be more like Jesus, then that's a good thing.
Absolutely.
So like marriage is going to push you to change things. You cannot be as selfish.
Yeah.
You cannot be, but the real me as far as completely changing you, no, yeah. I think that's the beauty of it. It's two people learning to love each other where they're at, but always pushing each other to be more like Jesus and showing the world a picture of what it's like, of the way Jesus and the church are together, right? And you go look at Ephesians. So will you have to stop being the real you? Let me change this. Will you have to stop being the same you when you're married? Absolutely. Because you can't make it all about you, right?
That's good.
You shouldn't anyway, but it's going to force you to realize that, when you have a wife and then you start having kids, guess what? Life is not about, it becomes very tangible that life is not just about you.
Yes. Yeah. People tend to, when your marital status is single and you don't have any kids or anything, I think a lot of people, tend to have like that focus on you mentality throughout life. And really, we've said this plenty of times that even in that circumstance, like, life is still not even about you at the end of the day. So like you said, it definitely becomes way more apparent when you are with somebody else for life and then you have kids and all these things.
Well, when you're living with someone in that kind of really intimate relationship, I think you can't hide as much.
No.
So you know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna have to deal with those parts of yourself that are rough
Mm-hmm.
and that are selfish and that
Yes.
and it's like looking in a mirror because your spouse becomes your mirror, right? Like they're gonna show you who you really are.
That's good.
Because how do you love someone when you see them at their worst, when they have stinky breath, when they leave their underwear on the floor, when the house is dirty, when they spend the money that you were supposed to save, when they're mean, when they're tired, when they're grumpy. That's the beauty of it.
It is the beauty of it.
Will you have to stop being the real you? No, because it's two people bringing together all of their stuff and making something beautiful. Will you have to stop being the same you? Absolutely, I think.
Yes, and when marriage is done right, it's such a beautiful thing because of how bold it is.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Like you said, because usually if you're doing it right, you're not going to know a lot of those things about each other until you're actually living together.
You're right.
And that's why people like to try to play it so safe in the world by living together before anything, like marriage or anything. Like they're just like, yeah, we live together. And they're just, boyfriend and girlfriend, whatever, Like they try to experience those things before committing to marriage because they're playing it safe. And that's why marriage
That's good.
done right is so beautiful and bold because you're doing everything you can to get to know a person without going into that level, and then you're loving them enough because love is an action, not a feeling. So once you make that commitment, it's all about the action of it doesn't matter how they are behind the scenes now. I'm in it and I'm gonna love them through it, because I didn't know what was coming, but here it is.
This leads to another thought. Since this marriage has kind of come up, so you and I have dealt with this recently, and I actually talked about it earlier because people are always asking about me being married and stuff. When did being a bachelor become an insult? Like, why is it? We just dealt with this recently in the week where someone kind of uses it as an insult. I've had it used against me as an insult, like, you just live a bachelor life. And I'm like, what? Why is it inherently make you a worse person when you're a single male? Because I don't feel like they go to women and go, "You're just a bachelorette." Do you see what I mean? I think that's interesting. It's almost like being a single male automatically means you're immature, irresponsible, boyish. And I guess the question following up with that is that a biblical thing? Is that biblical to think? Because certainly, would you call Jesus that?
Nope.
Right? Would you call Paul that? No. I think that makes me kind of sad that there's sort of, I don't know, it's sort of like you're not a real man until you're married. And I wonder if that's what puts a lot of pressure on people. We know a lot of guys that they want to be married. Well, first off, a wide relationship. I'm not saying that, but I wonder if that brings a lot of the shame of when they're not in a relationship. Well, if I'm not in a relationship, that must mean I'm a bachelor, which means I'm a boy. I'm irresponsible, immature. I just think that's kind of silly.
I agree, man. Yeah, 100%. I don't think you have to be married to be a man. Like this whole bachelor mindset. Like I think it points out to how life is lived. Like, yes, at the end of the day, when a man is single, yes, his life is going to look different than a married man.
Yeah.
And honestly, and this is, okay, I'm going to say it. So, honestly, I think there's some jealousy when they say that because they realize that they've had to give up a lot.
Sure. You get a lot, but you certainly do give up a lot.
You do give up a
some,
lot,
sure.
Yes. And I think when they say, like, well, you're just a bachelor, like, I think a part of them is jealousy of going, yeah, you got a little more freedom than I do now. And that's just...
Even though that's focusing on... they have a kind of beauty that a single man doesn't have, right? Like,
sure.
And so it's just funny, man. I think
we always take for granted
where we're at,
what we don't have.
Yeah,
always.
Yeah. So hey, everyone, quit insulting your single male friends. They might. Are there people out there like, I feel like when they say bachelor, what they're really trying to say is like the college guy in a fraternity, And certainly, men, we don't want to strengthen that stereotype by the way we live. And we want to be men of honor and men of God, but at the same time, hey, you know what? Let's not make it even harder on men that are single that are trying to find that person, because I bet you they're already feeling the bad enough. Like we talk to a lot of guys, and there's a lot of our single friends that somehow they feel like they're not good enough because they're not married yet. Which, by the way, is a terrible reason to even get married, is to make it about like, well, in order to be a real man, I need to be married instead of I want a spouse and I want to love someone radically. And marriage is a beautiful thing at the end of the day.
Yes. But
we're all in different stages at different times, and we should love each other and appreciate each other and understand that we're all parts of the body together. And so hey, let's be better. Just love each other where we're at and push each other to be better.
That's right.
Anyway, I think it's about it. You got anything?
Thank you guys so much. Like I said, I know we've been having some just difficulties lately with technology. So thank you guys so much for your patience through all of it, because I know throughout this whole year, it's been a great success, and it's been awesome, and you guys have been such a big part of that, and you guys have also been patient through the shortcomings as well. So thank you guys so much for your loyalty, and just thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys so much, and I love you
so much.
I know I said so much like 20 times.
That's all right. Clint always mocks my spiel at the end, so he thinks he hasn't memorized the cadence. I'm gonna start rapping it or something. Anyway, yeah, I'm just really excited to be here with you guys again. And like I said, last week was weird. It's always weird when I'm not with my family.
Yeah.
And you guys are part of our family now, so we appreciate you so much. There's another question that I feel like I was asked that I want to answer.
Mm-hmm.
That I feel this is going to be kind of random.
Okay.
So, but I do feel bad because I got a text actually. So I want to do this out of love for that person.
Okay.
So the person was in a relationship. They were married. They got divorced. The divorce happened because unfaithfulness.
Mm-hmm.
The spouse is now coming back saying they made a mistake.
Okay.
And in doing that, long story short, this person who asked this question said, I've forgiven them.
Mm-hmm.
But now they've come back to me and confessed all these other things that I never knew. That's even worse than the things that happened that I did know.
Oh, wow.
And I'm having a really hard time forgiving them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do I do that? And yeah, I guess I want to. I know, guys, that we kind of give you a false ending here, but I want to answer that because I feel
this is awesome.
So I don't know. I guess I'll start. You always have to start. I think that would be tough. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know what it's like. You've already grieved the loss of your marriage. You've already had to heal from the wounds you already knew about, and from the unfaithfulness and the infidelity and all these things that you knew about. Mm-hmm. And not just that, the person leaving you for this other person.
Right. So
you've forgiven them. It's taken you time forgiving them. They come back. That's hard. You still want to, especially when kids are involved. I know there's some kids involved in this situation specifically. So they come back and you have to interact with this person. You've just gotten to the point where you can love them, mm-hmm. even as a brother or sister, a brother in Christ. And now they confess to you, oh, by the way, I also did this, and this, and this in our marriage, during our marriage and after. And I don't know any details about what that's at. So now you've got to, it's like it rips open the old wounds and new ones. Mm-hmm. And what do you do? And I'm sitting here thinking about it, and I guess my tangible advice is take comfort in the fact that the Lord already healed you, and it began the process of healing you from those wounds, so He can do it again.
That's right.
And we know that the Bible says that He'll work out all things for the good of those who believe according to His purposes.
Yep.
And so maybe there's deeper healing that needs to come for you.
Good. Yep.
And how crazy is it that I guess I could see a positive side of you get to know other things you didn't know.
That's right.
And now it's time you're able to fully heal. Even though it may hurt right now, maybe you're going to be able to fully heal when you wouldn't have before, because it would have been like a slow leak.
I love that.
So I think, take comfort in that. And I'm not saying that's easy,
No.
The other thing I would say is forgiveness. How do I forgive them? Well, you forgave them before, and you have a Holy Spirit in you that enables you to do things that don't make sense. Forgiveness doesn't mean that you have to be in the relationship the way that it was. Forgiveness means coming to a place where you want good for that person. You don't actively seek bad. And at the end of the day, one of the things you and I talk about a lot, and I'm very passionate about this, when you have been forgiven much, it's easy to forgive much.
Yes.
And, this isn't making light of the pain you have, but remember that the things you've done in this life that are poor have hurt someone. They've hurt people, right? When we sin, we hurt people. And even if it's not the same level, that always reminds me that I want that person I hurt to forgive me. That's my heart's desire. How can I not offer that to someone else? And that the Lord has forgiven me. And, and forgiveness is a daily choice. It is waking up every day and saying, I want good for them. And one of the ways that I have found that has helped me forgive people that I feel impossible to forgive is I pray for them every day. And sometimes the words stick in my throat, God bless them, heal them, all those things. But, ask yourself this. If your spouse, your ex-spouse, could be fully healed, truly saved, and restored, would you want that? And if the answer is yes, then that should help you forgive.
That's right.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I love that, man. I think what you said earlier about, he's healed you once, he can do it again. Reminds me of Samson. Says one more time.
Love that, man.
And it's true. Like, God will be there to give you that strength to heal again. And he said something else, and it was really good. Dang it, what was it? I don't remember. But that's just, yeah, you're right, man. Like, he's gonna heal you again. You just have to, be faithful. Oh, that's what you said. Yes, I love that you said that, because in the event that, you said they ripped open an old wound but then opened up new ones, how amazing is it that gives them an opportunity to heal as well?
It's good.
It does, because they're not holding anything back anymore. And even though it sucks and even though it hurts, they're telling you the truth now. And that's a big step.
That's true.
And even like you said, even though it's not fun, like, what a beautiful thing. So that's awesome.
So yeah, the other thing I would encourage you, and you're already doing it, is let other people help carry your burdens. Galatians 6:2. Sharing that pain, which I know this person did. Like I said, they texted me. So won't say your name, but praying for you. And I think a lot of people watching this video are going to join in prayer too.
Absolutely.
For you. But that's a segue to closing up now. So like AJ said, we appreciate you guys so much. Sorry for the false ending there, but we're really going to do it now. We thank you. We love you. We appreciate you. As I said up above, the 2 links, www.theremnant.life/real-talk. We need topics and questions. Feel free to shoot them in there. And also, if you want to join us in our ministry financially, we'd really appreciate it. www.theremnant.life/give. Hit the drop-down box to Real Talk, and whatever you give is tax deductible. And don't ever think that there's something too small, right?
That's right.
If anything helps. Other than that, we'll see you guys this Thursday at 9 o'clock for Real Talk Live, where we go live. It's a wild time. If you were blessed in any way by this video, would you do us a favor and like, comment, and share? If you have thoughts on the questions, go ahead and comment below. We see them. We'd love to. It creates a dialogue for other people. We view this as a conversation.
Yes.
And like and share the video as well. And invite your friends. Sometimes telling people verbally about Real Talk, gives them an opportunity to ask those kind of questions. So
yes.
We hope you guys have a great day. We are also, if you haven't liked I'm a good speaker. If you haven't liked our church page, the Remnant Church, go ahead and go like, follow, and see first on that. The more likes, the more people it reaches.
That's right.
And other than that, we hope you guys have a great day, and truly God bless you.